I'm Mohua here, so let me take this opportunity to quickly introduce myself here. I'm representing CRY, Child Rights and You, and perhaps you have heard about Child Rights and You a lot because Child Rights and You CRY is an Indian entity, an NGO working for the rights of the children for the past 40 years in India, and it has its wings in UK and USA also. So to give a quick background of me as a development professional, yes, I am in this child rights sector for the past 16 to 17 years and started my career working with the health sector initially and then embarked into the child rights, core domain of child rights, working with the children and transitioned from the development approach to the rights-based approach, and now I'm here with you as well. So before I also really don't want to take you through the boring PPTs, though I have all the information which will be uploaded, I'm sure, in your site, which you can refer back. So this afternoon, after such a nice interactive session which my earlier presenter had actually had, I'm a little afraid to make my presentations here because I may not be as good as my predecessor has said. So let me start you with let me share you this afternoon a story to start with. A story that is an empowering story of CRY and a child. Perhaps that will give you an idea of to connect with what CRY is and how CRY works. So leave that PPT apart. So this is a story of a very, very hub or city center place in a capital in Delhi. Perhaps you have heard about Chatterjee dairy, which is up in the news, in the media these days. And do you have anyone heard about Chatterjee dairy news? Not really, maybe. So let me explain what it is. It is in the center of Delhi, the capital, which is actually a breeding ground of all kind of crime. Children are in dropping out, there are no basic amenities there. And this is a story of Tanu, who is a little girl of 14 years old and who has started with a very simple objective and courage, a journey that had transformed her life to empower not only her but also spread this empowerment and this positive change in the entire slum of Delhi. So let me just go back to give you a little background of what Chatterjee dairy is. So that's a slum where you don't get any basic facilities. There is hardly any schools, which is far off. There is no toilet even. There is no public toilet even, which is accessible for the girls. So what brought this Chatterjee dairy to the news is that the little children of, especially the girls, are not fed in the evening and not given water to drink just because they would need a toilet. And if they go out to use the toilet, they will be falling prey of any sexual abuse, rape and many other protection issues. So what made Tanu commit herself to bring the change is something that I'm going to explain, which connects CRY's work very closely. So we were working in this area for bringing back, curbing the dropout rate, bringing back the children to the school. So what simply motivated Tanu, this little girl of 14 years, is to just go and talk to the neighbors, talk to their uncles and aunties, and go to the households and make collective of children and motivate the parents to send their children back to the school. And also create a demand for the basic amenities like toilets, which should be functional, and create a place of safety and enabling environment. While this sounds very easy for us, what is a big deal in this story? If one is going, say for anyone, you or me, going and talking to the parents, talking to the elders and saying that you send your child to the school and that's all. It might sound very easy for us. but it was not a journey very easy for them. Why? Because when we are looking at that societal norms, when these children are being looked from the from the hierarchy of societal norms, where the children are looked down, that you don't know anything, you shut up. They are just not heard. They are just not given attention. They are just not paid any kind of respect or dignity just because they are not adults. So there are many interplays of societal norms, there are mindsets, there are behavioral patterns that impacts a child not to speak out and not to demand for the basic things, basic rights that they need. And it was not a journey easy for them. So while talking, some of these parents, when we talked with the Children's Collective and went there, we found that the children were very excited at that point of time, and also they were living with a fear that how they could be married off. Because they started speaking out for their rights, they could be married off. So that's the only easy solution that the community had to protect their child and also to stop their child asking questions. The adults were not ready to face those questions. And Tanu was the one who was actually a crusader for this journey, and she, over the time, could actually have on board 25 more children with her. Now 25, all those little kids that she got along with her, she needed to do something. So what will she do? What she was committed to is she couldn't see her peers, her brothers, sister, her friends, sisters not going to school and not demanding for the basic thing that can change their life. So she started with a very small and simple thing. There needs to be something to be done with this group of children. She started actually explaining the hearsay stories. She started explaining, she started interacting with those children, engaging with those children of 25 kids, little kids, playing games, hearing patiently their stories. So that actually made the children, over the time, getting motivated to go back to the school. And we as all know that school is a place of safety, at least as per the framework. Nowadays there are different incidents coming up, different debates are going along. But at least these children should be retained in the school. And the pledge taken by this group of children actually motivated and translated this change into other households and across the entire slum and the adjacent slums to demand for functional toilets, functional preschools, functional schools, and the school reopened. So now you may ask that what is very important, what is so important in this story that you are sharing? She made a change, she wanted to bring back the children to the school, and she did it. But what is important and what is very interesting in it is, in this journey perhaps, she realized along with her peers the immense potential and the power she had within, she and her peers had within, which was lying dormant for years. And that power is just not a power of a muscle power, a money power, or anything else, but the power of self-worth, confidence, and the self-esteem that they had. And that changed their mindset, that changed their way of how they should see their life going on and how they should make change. And now that Tanu and her friends have become a change maker, not only for that slum, but for the entire district, the entire pocket, and she's moving around, she's being called, invited, along with her friends to make this change. So here connects cry. Cry, the full form of cry is child, rights, and you. So that you part is very important, and that is actually a living element of cry, where you can be a change maker. Now what does it make? What does it mean to be a change maker? How does it change? So and where can you make that change? Is it like you have to come to a cry office, or you have to go to somewhere else, a designated place, you have to do a project? coming in your way to college, if you see a scene, that scene is actually a violation of the rights of a child, which is impacting the child's life and the mind and the well-being negatively, you have all right and commit yourself to curb that, to address that. And that will be making that little change that you can do in that scene, in that small space, will actually bring a lasting change. And CRY believes in the lasting change. So going back to the, so what we talk about, what we believe in CRY is, you don't know what you are capable of. So you might be sitting thinking what you have learned in your syllabi and how do you apply it in your entrepreneurship, and how do you make a project which would be a very scientifically and which would be within a framework. But CRY doesn't believe in this framework. CRY believes in your inner potential and how you innovate, how you re-engineer, how you rethink and innovate the process of bringing child rights to a reality in the lives of the children. So CRY believes in all of these. To be, grow, learn, grow together, commit yourself and innovate. So CRY actually invites you to come to the space of child rights, think something innovatively and do that change, do make that change that will impact in the lives of the children. So what was actually the, let me, please help me to change this. Yeah, take it. So what are the pillars actually CRY work? So what the pillars that CRY work is the advocacy with the government system, the promoting citizens' actions where you come in, and also directly addressing issues related to child rights violation at grassroots level. So we work in the partnership mode where we have grassroots NGOs working at the field level, working directly with the children, and also in the space of influencing the policies, influencing the resources, influencing the budgets that is going to impact the lives of the children. So there are different pillars that we work. We mobilize community, work with the parents, work with the adult group to change their mindset towards enabling the environment of the for the children. So community mobilization, advocacy in the realm of making policy changes, influencing the budget, allocating resources for the children, commit government to make changes for the children and create that enabling environment to make the lasting change. We could have, as CRY, we could have easily done some changes, doing certain changes on ground as an individual entity. But what we do believe in is to make lasting change. And to make that lasting change, the policy needs to be enabling, the resource needs to be enabling, that will actually have a lasting change through the machinery of government policies, government schemes, etc. And also another very important pillar that CRY work is child participation. So we believe very intensely that every child has a right to participate in every space of discussion, and the child needs to be given an attention to be heard. Many of us have heard in our childhood that stop talking in the middle of our discussion, which is an adult domain. Go and study. You are not allowed, you are not now to think or give opinion on certain things, which is a domain of adult. But that very hierarchy, social hierarchy and mindset of the adult-child binary, that is something that we have a role to play and we can bring. And that is where CRY works. also take you to how Christ started. This is a very interesting story and you will get it in website. Just quickly going through it. Ripon Kapoor was our founder and he started Cry with 6 of his friends and with ₹50 now. And then 1 dining table and 4 chairs and a vision of children for India. Over the years, he could get volunteers, he could sell cards on his own scooter, and now Cry is here in 40 years, reaching out to 23 states with almost more than 10 lakhs of children directly and indirectly to crores of children by influencing policy. So this says that if there is will, if you want to do something, you can do it. So let me give you a quote of our founder. Real happiness is not in the senses, but above the senses. So happiness is not in this heaven or in that heaven, it is in the soul. And he believed in that, and that still drives Cry for our programming, and it is a core value of our programming that we do for the children. Now what kind of programming do we do? What kind of work do we do? In the realm of advocacy, in the realm of community mobilization, the work that Cry does is around the area of education, putting back the children to the school, ensuring that the child is safe, secured and not getting married off before the age that is appropriate for the child getting married, works in the pillar of health and nutrition, ensuring basic health systems, strengthening the systems of health that is already there. In case it is the time-taking process, then Cry also provides interim support for the children to actually access the basic health facilities, while at the same time system strengthening is one very intense and focused area of Cry's work. Because that can only ensure a lasting change in the lives of the children. I'm not going through this, what is child rights. I don't want to take you through all of these definitions which are really very academic type, so you know what is child rights. Now I just want to quickly take you through one thing, that at one point of this journey of 40 years is very interesting for Cry. When Cry started working, when Ripon started Cry by selling cards only. So you must have heard that Cry had cards and still have cards which is being sold in Archie's co-branding name. We used to run directly the card division at one point of time, and that the money that used to come for the selling of the from the seller of the cards were actually given for used for the well-being of the development of the children, development of the schools, etc. So over the years, by developing schools or giving healthcare facilities, etc., what as Cry we realized is that this is just not making the change, or this is just not enabling the environment to actually grow the child as a potential adult. It is actually not unleashing the dormant energy and potential that a child has. And to bring that lasting change, one has to embark into the space of rights, enabling environment, and just not doing the development in a small space. And therefore, earlier Cry was named as Child Relief Anew, and we then over the years embarked into Child Rights Anew. And that rights space actually has given us immense power to make those changes, and that is one change maker story that I shared at the beginning of my presentation. So these are the domain of child rights that we work, and then the survival, as I said, that we work in the rights, health and nutrition, we work in education, we work in protection, we work immensely with the system to address the issue of menace of child marriage and all of these programming. So there is a lot of I would say there's a wider universe for all of you to step in and offer your innovations to make changes, very small, even even if it is very small, that change can bring a lasting change in the lives of the children. So these are some of the data that is talking about what is the need of the hour. So this recent data shows that how 1 in 4 children of school going age is out of school in our country. And that actually that emphasizes our need to work in the education, pillar of education more. So there are listed data which is talking about recent revelation says that there are 10.13 million child laborers still exist in India, and we need to work on that area of child labor. We need to work on the area of child marriage. The number of crime reported against children in India is something huge, and this translates to an increase of 10% if it is compared to last year. So there could be several reasons. Maybe the children are so empowered and the parents' mindset have changed that they are coming out reporting those cases of abuse which never used to get reported. So that change is also can be seen from a lens of a very positive change in the society that is happening. Nonetheless, there is still crime against children existing. There is a huge child marriage still happening all over the states, and we are standing here and we need to commit ourselves in this space to make this scenario reverse, to make the children, the environment inevitable. So I'm just not running you through all of these data. So what I have explained to you earlier is that the journey of cry from relief to rights. Charity was not a lasting solution that we realized, as I say. And the small town measures that we used to do by running a night school, running a bridge course, was actually not giving a solution, putting back so huge number of children who were out of school, who were getting married early, who were actually getting a number of children at the before the appropriate age appropriate that they can bear the pregnancy. There were huge number of children who were missing and getting trafficked and were into a sexual trade. So that actually had given us this thought of embarking into the right space. So these are certain principles that we believe are right space. What we used to work earlier, what is very interesting that I'm tempted to share with you is that while we were working in the also while we embarked into the rights-based space, initially we started addressing the issues which were larger issues. Like what is not actually enabling the community, the parents to send their children to the schools? Or what is actually letting the child getting married off? So we wanted to identify that, and we used to mobilize, mass mobilize, and do a kind of a dharna, do kind of a huge noise out of escalating those issues, which were larger issues, livelihood issues, and economic issues. But at some point of time, the data and our experience show that even if the livelihood issues were addressed to the community, are the parents ready to spend that money out for their education? Are the parents ready to actually put their child into the school and not getting married off early? Is that mindset there? Are they realizing the significance, the importance of education in the lives of their children? We realized no. And then we embarked into another journey where we actually reshaped, redesigned our programming to directly work and address the issues of education, changing the behavior and mindset of the people. And that is where we found a huge success. If a family, along with that, I'm not saying it is not very important. Along with that, there are other agencies, there are other schemes, there are government policies, which we also link the community and the parents to for their livelihoods issues, for the other issues that are impacting at the larger level, at their family level. But our whole focus of programming is to change the mindset of the people, make them understand what is the importance of education for their child, what is the importance of their children to not to get married off at an early stage, and what are the child sexual abuses that the children should be empowered to speak out, and create that community level environment and safe space for the children. So as I said, we work in these 4 goal areas: education, protection, health and nutrition, and participation. 5 goal areas actually. So let me just explain you my purpose of coming here. I just wanted to share you that you all have immense potential in you as youth, as students, and you have every commitment that I could see in your eyes to step into this space and make changes. So I am here to invite you all to step in this space, offer your whatever you can from the commitment, from the empathy that you have for the children, and offer that to make little changes in the lives of the children and make that situation of plight that the children all over India is hearing, and create that enabling environment. So you have that knowledge, you are sitting with that skills, unleash that, bring that. We want those innovations to come into our space, and we are inviting you all to offer that technology, be it your knowledge, be it your innovation, whatsoever. Everything is very important. Each and every contribution of your resources, your brain, your thinking is very important for us to make changes in the lives of the children. So, while I'm inviting you to be a change maker, you may think that as a change maker, what would you gain? What would you gain is you will feel that empowerment, that transformation within you, as while it will just not end in doing some tasks or some assignments, but it will gradually empower you from within. And that change that you will make in each of these lives of the children will actually give lasting impact in you also as a change maker. So to become a change maker, I would like to have a quote of our founder, Ripon Kapoor. To become a change maker, one need not become a social worker. So you need not to be a professional social worker, you need not to join an NGO. Wherever you are in a very small space, you need to be engaged, need to be empathetic and take action, whatever action you can do, whatever that hits your brain, that strikes your brain, that this needs to be changed and this can empower the child. So, that's all.
Questions?